and inaccessible forms from doctors, or kiosks that do not have screen reading software. However, I think it's also very important for us to recognize those who are taking the lead and setting an example and ensuring that all students and persons in the community have equal access. And that is why our evening tonight is so important and very special. I personally wanted to recognize one individual who has worked hard to bring the needed tools and technology to make accessibility a priority, not an optional consideration. And that individual is not here, but Dr. Lance Alexis will be accepting the award for him. It's for Richard Kershaw, and we have a certificate we would like to present to him. For those who don't know Mr. Kershaw, we've been working with him for the past couple of years. Myself and Lance Alexis and Kira was one of the original ones who had brought up the idea. But since we have the movie theater on campus, we had contacted him to see how we could make the movies accessible to the blind. And not just the blind, but those who are deaf or hard of hearing. And Mr. Kershaw has worked very hard to try to find where the resources were to get that technology, and was able to bring that technology to MTSU. And so we're proud to say that very shortly, within the next few weeks or months, definitely by the time the next semester starts, that technology will be available to all students. And so we really want to thank Mr. Kershaw for working on that and being dedicated to make sure that technology is there. And it's that principle, again, of this accessibility, and that it is possible if people work together and look at the resources and cooperate, and it's there. We just have to put forth effort. So, Wendy, are you beside me?
You want me to read the
Could you read the certificate, please?
Yeah, so we have a certificate from the National Federation of the Blind of Tennessee, our Stones River chapter. And it says, officially recognizes Mr. Richard Kershaw for his outstanding commitment to provide all MTSU students and the community accessible services, including audio description equipment for the visually impaired. Mr. Kershaw demonstrates that when principles of cooperation and commitment to accessibility are followed, accessibility in all aspects of life is possible. So we just really want to let him know that we appreciate it. And I think he is not able to be here at this time, but Dr. Alexis said he would love to accept that on behalf. So
thank you for taking that from Dr. Alexis.
Happy to do it.
And appreciate Dr. Alexis was played a big part in that as well as doing the research, because there's a lot of research trying to find the equipment and then finding the resources to install the equipment and set it up, and then you have to worry about copywriting and accessing the files for the movie. So there's a lot involved to it, and so we appreciate Mr. Kershaw and Dr. Alexis and everyone else that was behind that. So we're going to turn it over now to my lovely, beautiful wife, Wendy Birdman, and she will continue our program.
thank you, sir. And so actually, Wendy Bain this year, we kind of co-hosted this last year. And this is such an honor. We're a bigger group even this year, and we're filling up this big room. So this is really exciting. It's great to see so many people here. So just kind of a little bit of background. This is kind of the kind of extra special project that mainly Steve Norman has kind of taken on starting last year. We wanted to have a ceremony where students nominate and we recognize professors and educators here at MTSU, specifically for the way that they provide accessibility. And just a few things. There were several of us on the nominating committee, and I'll read that in just a second. But basically, we have a committee for this award ceremony, and we asked our students in the chapter to nominate leaders and their teachers, and we received the nominations, we reviewed them, and some of the things we were looking for is that this educator ensures that blind students have equal access to every aspect of the course, recognizes unique learning styles of each disabled student who enters his or her classroom, works closely with students to address and overcome any unexpected challenges, and I think also just most importantly, treats each student with dignity, equality, and respect. And a little background, I'm actually a special education teacher in a high school right now. And so I see that, these kids, as they move forward to MTSU and to other colleges, it's exciting to be able to tell them about some of these professors that I've gotten to know. And so that makes me excited. And teachers don't always get thanked and recognized. So this is kind of a special night for us to be able to do that. And really quickly, I wanted to ask Dr. Bernstein to stand because he was our recipient last year. So let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for coming. He and his wife came again, and we're glad that you guys are here. So a couple quick things. We wanted to thank Vicki Sargent for getting us this room, and she is also our sponsor for our student group. So let's thank her just really quick. And we're going to invite Dr. Alexis to come and speak first to get us started for our evening.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, happy to. My name is Lance Alexis. I'm the director of the Campus Disability and Access Center. I would also like to recognize on behalf of the Disability and Access Center, our former director of one of his disabled student services, Mr. John Harris. And I would like to recognize our Adaptive Technology Center coordinator, Mr. Bill Burgess back there. Can't hide them. I promise to make it brief. We definitely want to move on to our recipients and the food. The food looks really good. Really, kind of just want to piggyback on what Jimmy started off with, and that's the concept of access. Access is a very varied thing, many layers, with a lot of general principles, a lot of principles from powers that be, and that continue and need to be updated periodically and go out of date, and then we forget to update them, and then we move on, and all these wonderful things. But like I said, a lot of general principles, many layers to it, with then an understanding that we have a whole bunch of different individuals from different backgrounds, from different walks of life, with different opinions and with different experiences, and those play into the idea of access as well. Now, the university is a multi-layered thing with many general things in which the powers that be say a lot of things that we have to listen to, and then go, wait, is that out of date? Is that still apply? Et cetera, et cetera. The university is the same way. So what we're trying to do is hold many different opinions, with many different thoughts, with a lot of different individuals, with a lot of different experiences, with general concepts that sometimes are up to date, sometimes aren't. The up to date piece, I just want to kind of throw out there. We still don't have any sort of real concrete governmental guidelines for electronic access. We're still waiting on the federal government to do that. As an example of access that we're still kind of waiting on, that's fallen woefully behind. The ADA is a wonderful document, but remember the ADA was written and passed in 1990. Where was the internet in 1990? So the ADA did not address the internet. And really, and to this point, we still haven't successfully gotten a document that has been solidly, put into effect. So that's what I mean when I say things, kind of waiting sometimes for the powers that be, not knowing to do while we're waiting. Once again, the university falls in many ways, or the concept of the university. So pulling those two things together can be a fun ride, but it's a ride that MTSU is taking very having a good time in most cases. So it's wonderful to be here to honor people who are making that ride a little bit easier and making this possible, because it is difficult. It is difficult to merge all of this, but it is possible. And these wonderful people who are being who are the recipients of these honors today are demonstrate the fact that it is indeed possible, and it is a fight that is worth fighting. So thank you very much.
And next, we would like to invite our president of the Tennessee affiliate for the National Federation of the Blind, James, to come on up here, and his lovely dog, Jordan. Oh, a little further.
Come on.
You want to sit by Carolyn?
All right.
The dogs are enjoying seeing each other.
Come here, baby. I know you want to see shit.
And this is James Brown.
Yay! All right. Well, it's funny because Lance referenced most of the time it's fun to be able to look at these issues, because there is some hard issues. Back about 10 years ago, the National Federation of the Blind decided we were going to sue this little bitty company called Apple. And a lot of people said, oh, you're never going to be able to win against Apple. And we went into a court up in the Massachusetts area, and we won that settlement. And as a result of that, today, Apple is now the largest and the best distributor of accessible materials probably in the world. So when we work together, that's the kind of thing we can do. That's the kind of influence we can have. And not only did that help us as blind people, but it also helped other people with disabilities too. So I just want to encourage you, Dr. Jernigan, who was a past president of the National Federation of the Blind, also a graduate of Tennessee Tech and Vanderbilt, said that, you know, even animals know that if we work together, that's the best way we can work. And so we're all doing that here today, and we're thanking Tennessee Board of Regents, thanking Middle Tennessee State Universities, all these other professors who've done great things for us, and I just want you to give them a big hand.
Thank you all for your comments. And now we are at my favorite part of the night, and that's where we get to read the nominations and the input from the students. So I'm going to start with the nomination form that was submitted by Kira. So this is what Kira wrote. College algebra is the first math course I've ever taken in college, and this semester is the first semester my professor has used my math lab for homework assignments. When I discovered that my math lab was not accessible on my personal computer, I talked with her and told her what had to be done to make the assignments accessible with information I found out at the Adaptive Technology Center. Kudos to the ATC. Despite making the necessary changes to the homework assignments to make them accessible, I still could not read them using my computer. After I showed the professor how my computer was handling the math problem, she proactively arranged a meeting with the Adaptive Tech coordinator to figure out if there was any way I could do my homework using my math lab. At that meeting, it was discovered that my math lab was only accessible on a PC with Internet Explorer, and even then there were still serious accessibility issues when entering answers on some types of questions. Even though this experience has been quite a challenge, as I'm sure it was, Kira, she says, I am grateful that my professor has been understanding through it all and has been willing to accommodate me every step of the way. She made the necessary changes to make the homework assignments as accessible as possible, even though it's not perfect yet. Going into the first day of math class, I was nervous because I'd never taken a math course in college, and I was concerned about whether or not my professor would be willing to accommodate me. This entire experience has shown me that yes, there may be challenges along the way, but my professor has been willing to accommodate me and has followed through on this commitment. I would recommend her to any other blind students who may wish to take college algebra to fulfill the general education math requirements. She wrote this about Mrs. Danielle, the Bagurnajad. Yeah, okay. This year is her first year at MTSU, and she teaches college algebra as part of her assistantship while pursuing her master's degree at MTSU. After earning her undergraduate degree at UTK and some years of work experience, Danielle decided to move further in the math field because she wants to help students gain a further appreciation of math. And I think she said basically math is everywhere when I talked to her. So she is married and she has 2 dogs. She enjoys hiking, reading, and exploring Nashville. So I'd like to invite both she and Kira up, and we're going to award her the honorable mention this year. So we have 2 recipients. We're going to award her the honorable mention of the Educator of the Year award. I can take photos.
Could you take a couple?
Yeah.
Carolyn, Doris, please.
Or do you want to do it, Josh? Okay.
I'm streaming.
Alright, 1, 2, 3. Good. All right. Are we good?
Yeah,
You're
you're
good. Okay. Well, thank you again so much, and let's give them both a round of applause. And I think it's great because, unless I'm wrong, I think both of our awards recipients, this is their first year at MTSU. So that says a lot about folks who have come in, and these students are really recognizing that. So that's awesome. Thank you again so much. All right, so now for our second one. Our main recipient of the Educator of the Year nomination was nominated by Quinn Howard. And do you want to come stand next to me while I read this? All right. He's also the vice president of our chapter. All right, so this is what he submitted. This year, the Stones River chapter of the National Federation of the Blind present their annual Educator of the Year award. The recipient of this prestigious acknowledgement has gone above and beyond to accommodate students with disabilities. She provides class materials in accessible formats which allow students to have access to the same information as their classmates. The educator I chose to nominate does much more. From the first day of lecture, I knew I was in good hands. After class, she came up to me and said, "This is my first year at MTSU. I have very little experience accommodating students with disabilities, but I will do my absolute best to make sure you have all materials in an accessible format." From the second day of class to this day, she sent me all class material either the day before or right before class begins. She understands the challenges of using screen reading software to obtain files, uploading assignments via Dropbox, and the occurring conflicts when taking exams on D2L. This professor not only sent me all class materials on the Desire to Learn website, she also retyped every exam into an accessible web format. I emailed all class assignments to her, and she graded them individually. Dr. Elizabeth Quinn is a phenomenal professor with unbelievable patience. Whenever I needed help with a class assignment, or when I'm confused after lectures, Dr. Quinn explained the various concepts in multiple ways until I understood them. In her class, I was not just a blind student trying to keep up with the rest of my cohorts. Thanks to Dr. Quinn, I'm a confident blind student in her class who's keeping up with the class just fine. The words printed within this page don't begin to convey Dr. Quinn's hard work as a professor and her dedication to accommodate students with disabilities. It's truly been a great learning experience and an honor to be one of the 50+ students in your classroom on Tuesdays and Thursdays investing in learning about women and crime in the criminal justice system. MTSU needs more professional educators like Dr. Quinn. If you'd come forward. And I am just going to just briefly read, there's quite a large bio about you but I'm just gonna read just a little bit of her bio that's on the website. Dr. Elizabeth Quinn is originally from Wisconsin. And that's also what makes you awesome. If you don't know, I'm from Wisconsin also. Where she earned bachelor's degrees in psychology and social welfare with a certificate in criminal justice in 1994 from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She received her PhD from Sam Houston State University in 2004. Her interests include, I thought this was very interesting, victimology and victim studies, females and criminal justice, juvenile justice and delinquency, police, community relations, stress management, and vicarious trauma, and disaster response in criminal justice. She has been published in Women in Criminal Justice, Applied Psychology in Criminal Justice, Contemporary Justice Review, ACJS Assessment Forum, and Crime Prevention and Community Safety. And I just wanted to add, Dr. Quinn comes to MTSU with 11 years of experience of teaching, research / service at the university level. She previously worked at Fayetteville State University in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Let's give Dr. Quinn a round of applause. And I have a certificate. We would love to get a picture of you too.
We don't have to put Quinn in it, do we?
Yeah.
Quinn. Big old smile. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. I think Quinn's partial to me because I'm a Quinn.
Yeah, I figured that was going to come out.
Kind of true.
So I wanted to mention the members of our committee. So Steve Norman, as I said, sort of heads up this project. And the other members of the nomination committee are John Harris, Dwight Johnson, Jimmy Boehm, and myself, Wendy Boehm. So let's give the nomination committee a round of applause. And as I said, so in just a few minutes, John is going to come up and give some closing remarks. But as we said, there is some food. There are chips and salsa and cake and dreamsicle punch over to the side. So we'll help kind of get people served and everything. I wanted to thank a few other people. First of all of the representatives from the university for being here. It's wonderful to see this many people out to celebrate achievements of both students and professors. So that is wonderful. We especially appreciate the people who have spoken, the nominating committee, Steve Norman for even just putting this idea into reality, and it's just especially the professors for everything that you do every day. And I know as an educator, you don't always get thanked. So we just really appreciate all of you. Let's see, I'm trying to think of who else. So Steve Norman and I'm sorry.
They were telling about the ELT walking, the king.
Yes, that's still up here. Okay. Yeah. And so, would you like to talk about it really quickly? You were supposed to give that to Dr. Quinn.
So Dr. Quinn, if you want to come back up.
Thank you for reminding me.
Seated and comfortable.
It wasn't in the
So we did this last year. We thought this was kind of a cool idea and unique idea. So what we did was we took one of the NFB canes, and it has the NFB logo on it, and it has the Educator of the Year, and it has your name on it.
Do you want to show them how the cane folds out? So
And this is just one of the telescopic canes, so you just kind of pull it out.
Okay.
Let's see. So this is a short one. We didn't think you were going to use
No,
it.
no, yeah, we're gonna.
But we thought that would be kind of cool.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, thank you.
So when Quinn misbehaves, you just pop him.
All right, John Harris, would you like to come up and give closing remarks?
Oh, my gracious.
You could go towards your right.
Okay.
Because it might be almost easier to come out this way.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, and again, and what a remarkable ceremony. Think with me for a minute on a phrase came to me as I was listening to everyone talk about accessibility, ideas of how to serve, provide service, and that kind of thing. I thought about the phrase of persistent patience. And that is, you have to be persistent in getting accessibility, but you also have to be patient in how the accessibility is going to be delivered. It's not that you can't name something now and get it 2 minutes from now. So, but you need to be persistent and patient. If you can develop those two things, I learned when I was here as the disability services provider on campus. I thought about those things often during the day. When I had to go talk to university leaders, professors, on how the campus needed to move in the direction of becoming accessible. I never said to them, we need to be accessible. I said, move in the direction of being accessible. It cannot happen in one day. So that phrase of persistent patience is, you need to still follow that that phrase. I thought about this kind of ceremony where we honor and acknowledge the work of teachers, administrators, students, like our students in our chapter, of what we do and how we do it. Remain persistent, but also be patient. It will happen someday. Thank you.
And I guess just as we end, you know, we just appreciate everyone who has come and everyone who has kind of pitched in and helped with, you know, varying things, and we're really honored to be able to, you know, congratulate these two educators. We hope as a chapter that you'll put your certificate somewhere where other educators will see it, and that when they walk by your office, they'll say, "Wow, where'd you get that? You know, who did that come from?" And that, you know, other educators will say, okay, well, what did you do in your classroom to, you know, to earn that recognition? And we want to keep doing this every year to hopefully just encourage professors and educators here to step that up and to want to get that award. And we're really thankful. Thanks everyone for being here. And let's do one more round of applause and let's get some food.